You know that feeling when your brain is just a tangled mess of yarn? One thought gets snagged on another, and pretty soon it's just impossible to find the end of anything? Well, today we're going to learn how to untangle all of that using some really powerful, practical strategies from Darius Foroux's book, Think Straight. Yeah, I think we've all been here, right? This is that internal chaos where your to-do list is fighting with a worry about the future, which is tangled up with something someone said to you yesterday. It's overwhelming, and you can't seem to find a clear path forward. But what if you could actually learn to methodically straighten it all out? I mean, this isn't some kind of superpower, it's a skill. And that's exactly what we're going to break down today. And the entire journey really starts right here, with this one simple idea: transforming that jumbled mess of useless thoughts into a single straight thought that actually has a useful purpose. Okay, so let's start with the problem itself. Having a chaotic mind isn't some personal failure. Nope, it's simply an untrained mind. And honestly, for most of us, that's just the default setting we're all working with. So to see what this looks like in the real world, let's look at a story from the author. Imagine this. He was all set to move to London. Everything was planned. And then, just one day before the move, his new landlady cancels on him. Instant panic. His mind just immediately went into a tailspin, but instead of problem solving, it became this storm of self-blame, worry, and what he calls overdramatic stressing. It was all completely, totally unproductive. And here's the kicker. The solution was incredibly simple. All that mental energy was just wasted on panic when a practical, easy answer was sitting right there. This just goes to show how impractical and frankly inefficient our thinking can be when it's left untrained. So how do we even begin to train our minds? Well, it all starts with the very first core principle: recognizing that you actually have the power to choose what you think about. Now, this idea is based on the work of the philosopher William James. He realized we can't stop random thoughts from just popping into our heads. That's just what brains do. But what we can do, absolutely, is choose which of those thoughts we want to sustain and focus on. Our very first act of free will is simply deciding to believe we have that choice. And let me tell you, this is a monumental mental shift. You go from being a passive victim of your thoughts, I can't help feeling this way, to being the one in the driver's seat, deciding, I feel this way because I have decided to. That's a game changer. Okay. So if we can choose our thoughts, the next mission is to figure out which ones are actually useless. We have to learn how to spot them, how to name the enemy. We all do this, right? We get stuck on these mental hamster wheels. What if I fail? What are people going to think of me? And these thoughts have zero practical use. All they do is drain our energy without moving us forward even a single inch. So here it is. Here's the filter. It's a powerful and really simple rule. Only think about things you can actually control. So your actions, your words, your intentions. That's pretty much it. Everything else, it's probably a useless thought you can just let go of. Here's another powerful filter for you. Always ask yourself, is this based on an assumption or a fact? So often, we run our lives based on our own opinions, our beliefs, or wild guesses. Thinking straight means consciously shifting your focus over to what's been researched, tested, and proven. And here's why this is so tough. Our brains are literally wired for error. I mean, there are over 100 known cognitive biases that cause us to make irrational decisions without even realizing we're doing it. The simple truth is, we can't always trust our own minds. All right, now for the best part. Let's get into the practical toolkit you can start using right now to train your mind and build that mental clarity. The book gives us 4 simple but really powerful tools to put all of this into practice. And these aren't some complicated theories. They're practical filters and habits we can use every single day to go from that tangled chaos to focused clarity. So that first tool, it's all about being pragmatic. A thought is only true for you if it's useful. If it isn't helping you solve a problem or move forward in some way, it is not worth your energy, period. The third tool is all about slowing down, because our knee-jerk reactions, they're often based on old programming or just raw emotion. I love how Derek Sivers puts it here. Your first reaction isn't the most honest. It's usually just an outdated answer your brain is spitting out instead of really thinking. And finally, tool number 4, draw your thoughts. Remember that first image we saw of the tangled line becoming straight? Well, that's literally how this book started. When you visualize a problem, it forces you to simplify it, and that often reveals a solution way more clearly than just thinking in circles inside your own head. As we wrap things up, I want to leave you with this really timeless idea from the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. When you boil it all down, the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your thoughts. So, the real question I want to leave you with is this. Now that you have these tools, what are your thoughts going to make today?